Okay, hello. I am back to talk about race and whatnot once again. So, I want to talk about what happened yesterday in London, which was a result of Tommy Robinson and various different actors from Black Lives Matter and other groups going to the protest. There was some clashes between police and protesters. There were some clashes between protesters and protesters. And there were some little moments of solidarity between like EDL people and like racist people and black people. I will put a link below, but there is a video of a few black guys explaining to these older white EDL style people just in front of the war memorial why they were guarding it and why the white people didn't need to, like they had it in hand. And I need to clarify as well, the war memorial that they were standing in front of was a different one to the one that I thought they were talking about. The one they were standing in front of in Trafalgar Square, I believe, yesterday, is not the one that gets defaced every time at a protest. There's a different one near Downing Street that does. So I just wanted to clarify that you know, I wasn't accurate on that. Yeah, really interesting times, and also EDL style. I'm just going to call them EDL style people because I don't know exactly what they are, but clearly they're a Tommy Robinson fan. They've been following him, and whether he left it or not, the EDL lives on, you know. So they are EDL people, or EDL style people, either Tommy Robinson's mates now or his old followers. One of the two, EDL style people. But yeah, one of them got attacked by a group of black people at the protest. I don't know what led up to that situation. I don't know that we ever will. There'll probably be about 12 different sides that you could probably take on this story. It is a shame. It is a real shame. Because that's what the government and the media needed. They needed to be able to dismiss this as angry, violent, unthought out, unplanned. That's what they wanted and needed, and everyone gave it to him yesterday. So the headlines that I've been seeing today are protesters clash with police, white man attacked by group of blah. Like, this is what I'm seeing. And that's why people were saying don't go, like it should be postponed, because this can be reduced to violence now. The whole message, everything, all of it can just be reduced to anger and violence by the media. The narrative can be shaped so that it just seems like angry people who are upset with their place in life, which is what most middle class people think, like, of black people, minority ethnic people, people from council estates, like, they literally just think that we have all just messed up over and over and not helped ourselves and stuff like that, and that we're just angry because of the cards we've been dealt and all of that. And the media will be able to say we were all just frustrated and, you know, upset with being locked down for as long as we were. That's what it will be turned into, and that's not what it was. So I find that a real shame, to be honest. I haven't seen all that much about it. I started reading headlines and some articles and stuff, and it's just the same as always. It's just the exact same story as every protest that might actually have palpable change. There was another one in 2015, the anti-austerity marches and stuff in London. That was another one where I was like, oh, there could be something out of this. And yeah, it turned into nothing, clearly. So that is a shame. I've heard people say that there should be clear demands, particularly in the UK, of what we want achieved with this movement. And I think the main things that I'm hearing is like decolonisation of education, and then for colonisation and imperialism and like global economic politics to be taught in schools as a standard. And I don't disagree with that at all. I think it's a really good idea. Universities have obviously been trying to decolonise their curriculums for quite a while. But I mean, the fact that colonial history isn't even covered. Here's the thing. So I've got an Irish mother, right? And which is why I think I think I've said this already, or maybe in a different format, but that the sort of black civil rights movement here in England, or the UK, or whatever you want to call this place at the moment, the black experience, the Caribbean, mainly the Caribbean experience, maybe not Africans, they came generally later, but the Caribbean diaspora in the UK, very similar history with the Irish. And the thing is, Irish people get taught in schools from day dot. England and Britain, the British Empire, wankers, you know. That's like, I'm not joking. My mum genuinely, that's her main takeaway from Irish history education, which is the British were bastards. That's literally what they used to learn, and rightly so. so then that doesn't happen again, you know? Obviously that's in Republic of Ireland. Couldn't say what is taught in Northern Ireland. But again, they're much more aware of their history. Obviously it's quite recent history, but it's erased out of British people's minds. I went on a tangent there, but the point is, it's a similar so I was brought up in Britain, but with an Irish mum who taught me that Britain fucked over our ancestors, essentially. Yeah? And I think if that is any way part of your history, you should know about that. Whether you're the colonizer or the colonisee, the oppressor or the oppressed, whatever, I do think it should be taught. Because I don't think you'd get half of the EDL lot if real history was taught in Britain. Because we get a very warped idea of everything. I mean, there's a lot to say about education. Our level of education, our standard of education generally is diabolical compared to most of the world as well. So there's that too, that you know, would also have to be tackled. But decolonisation and teaching colonial history, I think really key, and I personally believe that the reason Britain doesn't teach that kind of stuff in schools is because if they did that on a national level, there would soon be international people, countries, there would be, on an international level, people would be going, oh, okay, so you've recognised the part you played in slavery and in stealing African resources and in building roads as soon as you colonised places that didn't go to anywhere in between the country, but just brought all of the country's resources out of it, off the continent, over to Britain, over to India, whatever, you know, wherever it needed to go next to be whatever. If you recognise that in education, I do think in Britain, I do think you would get, rightly so, a lot of international backlash. Like, the thing is, I personally believe that that's going to happen eventually anyway. I think it's quite clear that countries that used to be considered third world or developing countries, both of those are buzz terms, like they don't reflect reality. But it's quite clear that these countries are building their economies quite rapidly as well. And our economies in the West have become reliant on outsourcing and on importation, the UK particularly. And so eventually, and I've been saying this to people for ages, but just going on, no one asked, hence why I'm putting it up here now. But I do think that those economies are going to be strong soon enough. They won't need to keep exporting. And then what? What do we do then? So I think that in that sense, there's going to be quite a big change in the world within the next 15 years. Do I think we should be on board with the change and be ahead of it? Yes. Do I think we should get absolutely mullered and have our country become nothing? No. I don't want that for the people here at all. Which is why I think we really need to actually be proactive about these kind of things and get ahead of the curve, because it's going to happen anyway, is my personal view. All of this is personal views. Or disclaimer, all of this is personal views, and I am just an idiot with a phone. I've got a degree in anthropology and criminology now, but I am just an idiot. So you can dismiss everything I say. But yeah, that's what I think anyway. And so I think in terms of education, get on board with it, get ahead of it, start teaching people, and be honest. But yeah, it's not really a precedent of that happening, is there? Honesty as the best policy in British government, or most governments, to be fair, not just British. That's everywhere. Butterfly. Yeah, so that's what I think in terms of that. But I haven't seen many other concrete demands, in terms of Black Lives Matter and stuff. And maybe that is a good shout. I don't know. Like I say, I'm just an idiot with a phone. I don't know. But it does worry me that because the media are able to set the narrative, I do think maybe having a face or just a clear set of goals that are not easily achievable, but are achievable and tangible, that could be a good thing. Like getting colonisation and imperialism put as a core part of the history curriculum. That might be a good shout. Another one, maybe, get rid of tasers. I don't see the need for them. And I know in terms of fallacies, slippery slope doesn't work, but it is kind of it does make me think, if we start with tasers as a standard, are we going to slowly start seeing a militarised police over here as well, which we are in some respects. I mean, I think, for example, about 10 years ago, when armed police attended a scene, their job was to de-escalate. That was their aim. They were not meant to shoot on sight, like, at all. Whereas recently that's changed, and I think that should be maybe one of the policies, is if terror police or armed police or whatever, special tactical units, whatever, it should be their role to de-escalate. Because I personally don't want anyone like me who loses their rag and who gets hyped. I'm very easily hyped. I'm a very emotional person. I'm very easily hyped, right? Which is why I should not be attending a high stakes situation where there's going to be a lot of adrenaline and all sorts going on, you know, distractions, everything. I would not be the right person for that. And I don't want anyone like me in a position of authority or power in that sense. Because you can't keep cool, calm, steady, all of that if you get easily wound up or whatever. So I don't want people like that in a position like that, and that's what we seem to be getting more and more. So yeah, that, and the sort of casualisation, is that a word, of the use of tasers in England. I think it is in England specifically, actually. Might be Wales as well, but I do think it is specifically England, and particularly London. Yeah, so maybe that's a good shout as well. But outside of that, I'm not sure. And there are definitely better people to talk on this than me, for sure. But I hope that people regroup and think of something to come out with to counter that media narrative from the protests today, because it could fizzle out if it's just left like that, is my fear.